So if you think that everything that happens in this series is filler, you have gargantuanly missed the fucking point. Why that's a... How do you fuck? How the fuck do you not... Christ, I don't even know where to begin with this. Wait, so does this guy not... Does this guy not know that manga exists? Does this guy not know that manga exists? So, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. He is back. So, Think Before You Sleep has returned with another anime take. I don't even need to say garbage anime take because every anime take this guy has is garbage. Like, just consistently, this dude's takes on anime are fucking trash. And what I did learn this week about this guy is he has a multi-decade history of being one of the biggest fucking cuckolds on the internet. Like constantly flip-flopping on issues. Simping for Brittany Venti. Yeah. Not a particularly good showing for the dude. So he watched Frieren and didn't like it. So we're going to go over this very, very long Spurg session that he has about Frieren here and break down everything that he's saying because this deserves some actual attention. So let's begin. I am so tired of people saying that Frieren is a good show. It sucks. Are people so lost these days that they think a 5 out of 10 show has Breaking Bad levels of writing? Maybe not normies, but in the anime world, so many out of 10 shows get tons of attention and praise. So it's okay to not like Frieren, okay? I think it is one of the best anime I have ever watched. It is in my top 5. I fucking love this series. And well, as evidenced by the fact that I'm doing it right now, I will defend it to death. Or to the death. So what you're basically conflating here is Breaking Bad's level of like complexity and moral grayness with being good. A good story does not have to be some like deep, thought-provoking, like mind-bendingly complex sort of thing. A good story can be simple. Like a good Superman story is just Superman saving the day. Okay? You don't have to overthink everything. As for why this show is so absolutely fantastic, is because it is a thematic masterpiece. That is my assessment of it. Is that as far as handling a theme goes and tying it into the very bones of your series, Frieren has done it so much better than just about everything else I have watched. But I digress. How many episodes of that show? Oh God, I'm allergic to this bullshit. How many episodes of that show are just nonsense filler? It had to be like 10 to 12. I get that not every episode has to drive the plot forward. Shows can be more episodic in nature, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where some of the most memorable episodes of that show are technically filler. Or an example of an anime that does that well is Cowboy Bebop. But in Frieren's case, instead of getting a 3 to 5 act story with twists and turns, you get, hey, let's buy red-haired Zenitsu an oversized anime steak for his birthday. Oh, and that's another annoying thing about modern anime. Every character is a fucking archetype and not an actual character. It's so lazy. If I see another guy tilt his chin down and push up his glasses in a fight, I'm going to lose it. Okay, so the first thing I do want to correct is red-haired Zenitsu. First of all, you've turned that into a trope yourself because Stark and Zenitsu are vastly different. In fact, Stark is vastly superior to Zenitsu as a character. Stark is pretty much the epitome of courage, of facing your own fears and being able to overcome them in spite of the fact that you don't want to. Stark doesn't need to be knocked out in order to do stuff. Stark will still take action. And Stark is a very kind hearted person who is constantly trying to help other people. I mean, in the episodes you're talking about, these filler episodes, it talks about how Stark is constantly wandering around town whenever they stop at a place, helping people out, pulling carts and stuff because he's ridiculously strong. No hate for my boy Stark, okay? Please, no Stark hate, okay? But to sort of talk about what's going on with the series, you have entirely missed the point if you think that there are 10 to 12 episodes of filler. Because I would argue there is zero filler in Frieren. You've just missed the point. The whole core of Frieren as an anime is that the ordinary is important. It is basically a show about why you should appreciate the ordinary, everyday things of life. That is the whole issue of it. And it boils down to the very concept. Like, no one in the hero's party was a chosen one. In fact, none of them were particularly special. So Aizen wasn't particularly brave. And Hyder was not particularly pious. Frieren, as much as the show may make her out to be, was not particularly skilled. And Himmel was not a chosen one. That is the whole point of the series. And we can go even further into it about how Flom and Sari's ideologies on it conflict and how they play out through the entire series. Sari did not believe that magic should be ordinary. She believed it should be special, something that only the few and the powerful and the exceptional held. Flom was one who wanted magic to be in the hands of everyone. And by putting magic in the hands of even the ordinary people, it eventually led to great things, particularly the defeat of the Demon King. That is the core concept of Frieren. And as they go about their journey, she's constantly reflecting on these mundane things she didn't appreciate as they went through their journey to defeat the Demon King when she was a part of the hero's party. And it's a whole story about this newfound appreciation for life. So if you think that everything that happens in this series is filler, you have gargantuanly missed the fucking point. And then we go all the way down to like his thing about tropes to sort of finish off this paragraph. Everything has fucking tropes, okay? To some extent, everything is a trope or an archetype. It is all down to how you use it and how you dress it up. And with Frieren, well, it does a really good job of dressing its archetypes and tropes, okay? It does a really good job of doing something innovative and fresh with old ideas. That is why it popped off. So now we get to move on to the next paragraph. So we have 10 or so filler episodes in the show. Then you have a completely wasted story arc where they edge you into thinking they are going to add a priest to the party. Follow him by just randomly followed by him just randomly leaving. Put his main quest on the same route as the main characters, you idiot. This is a made up story. You can do whatever you. Oh my fucking god. And you missed the entire point of why that's a. How do you fuck? How the fuck do you not? Christ, I don't even know where to begin with this. Okay, so as far as Sane, that's his name, Sane. As far as Sane goes, he doesn't particularly want to join Frieren. He wants to go find his friend. And this is a vast fucking world. How do you miss the point of him wanting to go find his friend and adventure with his friend? He joins Frieren for a short period of time because they are on a similar path. The point of introducing Sane into the story was to have that departure at some point where their goals diverted and they said goodbye to the character. Because some of these journeys, some of these trips don't last. Some of these people don't stick around. That was a consistent thing. Like, that was like the whole issue of that episode. Like, you miss the point of the episode where he departs. And last, you have a tuning exam arc that was so boring that I genuinely fell asleep during it. I think even the writers got bored of it because I believe it was cut short, followed by the writers spending a bunch of time trying to teach all of the Japanese learners the word Gokaku. The importance of this particular arc is you finally get to see the difference in the ideologies that Flam and Sayuri had towards magic. Again, like I said, Sayuri was about the exceptional, okay? She was about finding the perfect mage in order to bestow her knowledge upon. And so far, everyone had been a large disappointment. Flam, however, took the approach of spreading magic to as many people as possible so that even the ordinary masses knew about it. And as a result, because of Flam's ideology towards magic, a student came around that for once actually grabbed Sayuri's attention. Who was it? Fern. Because Fern, in spite of seeming utterly normal and utterly ordinary, was able to tell that Sayuri was suppressing her magic. The point of the exam was to sort of establish that the danger level going forward was going to increase significantly, and that they had to basically earn permission. It was also again to do the conflict of ideas between empowering the ordinary or favoring the extraordinary. And it was also to demonstrate that Fern isn't just Frieren's apprentice. She is actually pretty significant in her own right. The pinnacle of Flam and Frieren's ideology that ordinary simple things can be very, very special. The most frustrating part of this is that there are a number of genuinely good possible story arcs to explore, and that the show just doesn't do it. You have a 1,000-year-old autism elf. She's not autistic. She's just an elf with a completely different perception of relationships, who has watched many of her friends die. Is she ever going to show any emotion over it? Any of it? You mean like at the beginning of the fucking series, when she cried over Himmel's death, realizing that she didn't take an interest in him while she could? Have these writers met an old person before and seen how distraught they are when they outlive their friends and family? Dear fucking... this guy really reminds me of what I used to be when I first started doing YouTube. I'm just going to say it. Like, I had some pretty fucking shitty takes like this. Are we going to see any reaction to her being so emotionally shut off that she completely ignored a guy who was so in love with her that he stayed single for his entire life just for a chance to see her like once in 50 years? Frieren's not going to say, hey, I was a real bitch to that guy and I fucked that one up. You mean like the whole point of her trip to the Undying Lands? Or to the Golden Heaven, basically, her whole reason for journeying to the north so she can speak with Himmel again because she misses him and she wants to talk to him again? Are we going to explore it? That's the whole point of the fucking show. No, is this character going to learn things during the show and maybe experience regret over past actions for personal failures? How the fuck do you watch Frieren and not see those things in there? Because that's literally how the show starts. Are we going to maybe explore how Frieren feels about raising a child who she is going to outlive? Maybe she has some reservations about that. Or feelings? Nope. Compare that to a story that did a good job with that exact plot, like Lost Odyssey. You have a character who looks 25 with a son who is like 60. This is the story actually going to introduce a main antagonist? No, because there's not supposed to be a main antagonist. It's a journey of reflection. You're just going to see a couple of demons get a really good 15th or 16th episode, and then the next 10 episodes or so are going to be an overused story arc in anime that is basically a public service announcement telling Japanese kids to try hard on their examinations. What? I should expect nothing less from a guy who got ratioed by the fucking slime community. Like, this is absolute pure retardation. I'll wait for some mouth breather to tell me the show hasn't gotten to it yet to say, and to that I say, bro, the show had 20 episodes that it used to pursue its theme and its message. Every single fucking episode. They had plenty of time to do this. This is a TV show, not a Twitch live stream. The content is supposed to be condensed. Do we have to wait for her to get to the Demon Lord's castle before she has any strong feelings about Himmel? Like at the beginning of the... I'm going to stop myself. How does this guy have multiple hundreds of thousands of subscribers, by the way? If this is the kind of brain-melting, retarded analysis you can give, fuck, I don't know who the hell... Actually, I probably do. People who don't think, people who just want mindless violence. That's not how people realistically behave. And now you're attributing human motive to an elf who has very different perceptions of time. This shit is so emotionless and forgettable that I actually have to look up the specific reason why they are traveling because I couldn't remember it. Well, clearly you need to remember it because you've lost the entire fucking plot while writing this Spurg out session. It's so emotionless. You mean we'll forget about the first episode? We're going to forget about the fact that this series is supposed to be about the subtle things in life. We're going to forget about the fact that this series is supposed to be about the ordinary things and why they become special to us, and how after everything's said and done, we'll look back at these ordinary things and be like, I actually really appreciate that moment in life. This is despite the fact that I only watched the show a few months ago, and despite the fact that this FOMO relationship between Frieren and Himmel is such a common and relatable experience. Like I said, this show has good potential, but has terrible execution. No, you just have a really bad concept of what this series is supposed to be. And you have utterly misconstrued everything up until this point. What pisses me off even more is that there are shows like To Your Eternity that do a much better job with the immortality theme that get outshined by praise for shows like Frieren. So the thing about To Your Eternity is, honestly, its writing is very haphazard. And Frieren is less about the consequences of immortality and more so about the ordinary things. Like I've said, it is about reflecting on life and understanding that the ordinary things can be very special, and they are usually the things that we'll look back on and enjoy. I have my bone to pick with To Your Eternity, particularly season 2. Spoilers up to the end of season 2. To Your Eternity has a plot where the kid saves his crush. In the process of saving her, he gets beaten with an ugly stick. Wins her over anyway, but ultimately ends up dying before the relationship gets serious. But that's not the end. Later, the main character realizes the whole time that he had the ability to revive his friend, which means after the ugly kid dies, Gugu, by the way, the kid's name is Gugu, he could have been brought back to life the whole time, and yet the main character only finds out after it was too late. That makes the audience feel things and have complicated thoughts. Frieren does none of that. Because Frieren isn't about some like deep emotional experience. Again, there is some of that, But the core concept of Frieren is that you should appreciate ordinary life. To Your Eternity has tons of mystery instead of telling you most of the important plot points in the first few episodes like Frieren does. Um, Anime needs to stop starting every show out with the world of Gaia. There was a magical war between the elves and the humans 1,000 years ago, followed by divulging every interesting plot point in the first few minutes. Be like Attack on Titan. Be like Death Note. Those shows tell you nothing and let you because they're completely different styles of storytelling. Those shows tell you nothing and let you learn things as the story progresses. And Attack on Titan is pretty good for that. Okay, I will give you that. I have no idea why Frieren didn't start the moment she met Fern. The first 4 to 5 episodes were a completely boring. The first 4 to 5 episodes were a completely boring filler arc that would have been much better told. Or that would have been told much better if we learned about the heroes who killed the demon lord through Fern and Frieren's relationship, as well as those other characters in the story. That is the entire impetus for this show. And it is the entire reason we have a framework to look back at those episodes and compare Frieren then to now. No, the first 4 to 5 episodes were incredibly integral to the entire narrative. Doing it that way keeps me asking questions, whereas if I am told everything at the beginning, I have no questions to ask, which makes me bored. So you can't appreciate a character-driven story. This story is supposed to be about Frieren appreciating the ordinary things in her life, consistently missing the point. I generally feel like these writers are just throwing out whatever comes out of their head onto a piece of paper instead of actually outlining and planning their story, which is crazy because these shows cost millions of dollars to produce. Wait, so does this guy not does this guy not know that manga exists? Does this guy not know that manga exists? Oh, fuck.
Oh, nice. Looks like you're gonna have to do it again. Well done.
Oh. Oh, jeez. TLDR, Frieren is garbage. Stop giving shows like this so much praise. TLDR, you fucking missed the point. I'll wait for angry fans to not read my reasons for why I hate this show, as they expect me to break down exactly why I don't like an entire show in 240 characters, followed by calling me an anime tourist because they are retarded. Holy fucking projection! Holy app! What? Okay, we're done with this for now. So we'll put this down, okay? You just projected yourself, everything you just did, onto everyone else there to try and lay blame off of yourself for missing the entire point of the show. Why you hate this show? Because you fundamentally didn't understand what the core concept of it was. In that it is a specific style of storytelling. It is character focused. It is talking about Frieren, and it has a message to appreciate ordinary life while you can. Because it's not gonna, those moments aren't gonna last forever. Those things that you love will not be around forever. That's why Sane comes into the story and leaves. That's why all of these things are very reflective. That's why it doesn't have some explosive emotional arc to it. The big impetus for it happens in the beginning with Himmel's death and Frieren realizing, wait, I actually really cared about this guy. I should have spent more time with him. calling me an anime tourist because they are retarded and have horrible taste in shows. First of all, you said Slime was vor, Subaru Natsuki was a piece of shit, ReZero sucked. Holy fuck! What do we expect from a multi-decade cuckold? This shit, apparently. Like, this guy needs to just dip out of the anime community because every time he opens his fucking mouth, he does nothing but spew the most garbage opinions of all time. It proves that he actually didn't pay attention to anything that was happening in the story at all. If you don't like Frieren, that's one thing. That's fine. You do not have to like Frieren, okay? But get your fucking hate right. Be accurate about it. If you're going to hate on the show, actually make sure you understand what you're getting into. Actually make the attempt to try and understand the thing you're working with. This guy did none of that. And then wants to complain about, we're talking about how retards are going to give him trouble. Here it is. This is what I've been looking for in this. The dude further proves he fucking failed to comprehend everything in this series right here. I know you enjoy the vast amounts of racism in this show, but ultimately, you know I am right. So I just went through everything that was, why you're fucking wrong in all of this. Frieren's not that deep, okay? It's a pretty simple thing to understand. It's not that hard to comprehend what it's saying. It's very blatant with it. This isn't some Evangelion. This isn't some Attack on Titan. It is right there in your fucking face. It is a character-focused story about someone learning to appreciate their life and every moment of it. To live in the moment and enjoy the things that are there while they last. It is not some big epic about a character saving the world or some deep, compound, emotional mess of a story about how someone regrets everything they did. Part of that is an element to it. Yes, I'll give you that. But literally nothing you've said, almost nothing you've said here, I should say, because the stuff about other anime is somewhat correct. But everything you have said about Frieren thus far, think before you sleep. Please think before you post about anime. Because you're clearly a huge fucking retard, okay?